Discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
Stepping into a new pair of boots is great, but stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can also add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. There are more than 150 occupational specialties to help them find the best fit for their future. See all the things your son or daughter can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be part of the Waco community. We're a small family business here in Central Texas. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important. And unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. And that's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through this difficult time. So if you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. You can schedule online in minutes at idealmri.com or call 833-IDEAL-MRI.
It's plain and simple. Waco Custom Marketplace is the one-stop shop for what you need for tailgating, from charcoal, cold beer, and wine. And, of course, customize your order with brisket, tri-tip, sausage, wings, smoked pork tenderloin, country-style or pork spare ribs, marinated beef and chicken fajita meat, ground beef and chili, meat, hot dogs, and burgers, buns, seasoning, sauces, chips. There's fresh baked bread and kolaches every day, breakfast sausage links. And you can also customize your favorite cut of steaks from Select, Choice, or Prime, bacon wrap fillets, ribeyes, New York strips, sirloin, T-bone, and porterhouse. Full service butcher shop includes pork, poultry, beef, chicken, and seafood, serving Waco restaurants and families since 1940. Your one-stop shop for beef, pork, poultry, and seafood needs. Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lake Air Drive, or WacoCustomMarketplace.com.
Automatic Chef Canteen is a full-service micro-market vending and office coffee provider with state-of-the-art vending equipment, a wide variety of products, and offering custom-fitted micro-market vending office coffee solutions for your employee break room. You want a full break room solution and a workplace oasis? Well, Automatic Chef Canteen, locally owned and operated for over 50 years in Central Texas, also includes in-house mechanics on call 24/7 for fast, reliable service and maintenance. Automatic Chef Canteen, 6900 Imperial Drive in Waco, or online at automaticchefcanteen.com.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio.
The Sikkim 365 Radio app is sponsored by Alan Samuels Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat in Waco, your friend in the car business at Loop 340 and east of 84. Come by. Let's be friends.
Back here in studio, Sikkim 365. 365 Sports. We're going to get into this Saudi-based golf league as well. Some of you won. Go Cougs, who led us off today. Go Cougs again. We were knocked off for a second thanks to the internet connection, which is a frustrating thing. Common sense. I thought it was the Chinese.
Could have been.
Yeah.
Never rule them out.
Listen, we have had a lot of anti-China government propaganda on this show. You know, it's what we do.
Could have been the Russians.
Yeah. Also, a lot of anti-Russian government. I'm very against Putin. If I want the internet to do one thing, it's that I disapprove of Vladimir Putin.
If Paul's on not on the show tomorrow, you understand why.
Yeah, I'm not going to be here tomorrow, and it won't be that, I hope. But I want to get into that because I had somebody contact me about this, about Brittany Griner and being detained in Russia.
Yeah, I mean, I almost got into it off the radar yesterday, just didn't have time. But, yeah, basically Russia wants somebody of a way higher profile to them than they basically want a guy who was the basis for the movie Lord of War, a gun runner, a weapons runner. They want him in exchange for the female basketball player who had vape cartridges. So, no. I think that's why we haven't seen that trade just go straight up as the U.S. is going. Wide weapons dealer from years ago. Now, some will argue that he's not as bad as he's made out to be. I don't know, and I don't care, but I know that's not a fair trade. So that's where we sit right now.
Yeah, the guy who's
Kansas forward, Jalen Wilson, has withdrawn his name, will return to Kansas for next season. That's a big deal for a school program already loaded. Now, am I right?
Oh, yeah.
I thought you were disagreeing with me.
No. Hey, listen. My house will be happier today because of it. So
and also because Obagi coming back, as I reported that.
That's not. Yeah,
no, I'm just kidding. Now, we've told you, and we've discussed it even with our own analyst about the LIV Golf Invitational Series. It's a part of being overseas. It's also around, like the opening event is this weekend 2 weeks in London. So that's the Phil Mickelson story. Mickelson went to bat for the league. He then got battered. And they also got battered because quotes released even about the Saudi Arabian government were damaging as well. He is not in the opening event. So he is still not technically joined them.
Well, that was Phil's fault. Like the whole, it cut people's heads off. But you know what? Like, it's fine. It's, people screw up. So, I mean, that was all on him. He can't blame anybody for those dumb comments other than himself.
Well, he has basically done that. Yeah. He's been in hiding. Now, there were thoughts that Ian Poulter would be a part of it. He is. There were thoughts that Lee West would be a part of it, and he is. Graham McDowell, he is. Those guys have all won majors. Poulter has not won a major, but a great Ryder Cup player. Dustin Johnson is going to be a part of it.
Yeah, and that's their biggest name. I mean, Martin Keimer's won. I know he's in it, and but and you mentioned Lee Westwood. Louis Oosthuizen is going. I'm curious.
Some guys that are foreign players that have been on the PGA Tour and have been on also the European Tour. They're connected, but have won a major or so.
I'm curious to see what happens with the major tournaments, what the USGA says about it, with the U.S. Open coming up. If the PGA really will push this envelope, and it looks like they are because the sponsors are going with them. And again, this is not a league that's sponsored by it's not sponsored by the French government or the Irish government or somebody else, or this is or Irish money. It's Saudi money, which is pretty shady at times, and a lot of Saudi princes and people in power all kind of run that thing. So it's very interesting to see how the golf world will react to it.
Well, the U.S. Open is separate. It's a part of the PGA Tour, but it's separate from the PGA of America. And their chief
all the majors
officer,
are, right?
Yeah, the Masters is as well.
So you can't...
PGA Championship's a part of the PGA Tour.
Well,
That's part
that
of it.
one.
But in the British Open, of course, the Open Championship it's on the PGA Tour schedule, but it's a part of a different. It's the what their particular PGA is there. USGA officer John Bodenhammer said Wednesday they pride themselves on openness of their tournament, the U.S. Open. They will also make their own decision about eligibility of the players in the upcoming U.S. Open, which is just a couple of weeks. It's Father's Day weekend, I believe. Now, here's the part. The openness goes back to the very beginning for us. That aside, we would always like to keep in place where we can make our own decision about what we might do based on what the facts are and might be a case-by-case basis. Well, Dustin Johnson, remember, he's a guy who's
okay, well, if Dustin Johnson got in and Martin Keimer didn't, what would be the difference? Or is it case-by-case overall? I don't know. It would be interesting to see if the major tournaments outside of the PGA Championship, but if the other three, because, listen, the Masters can say whatever they want. I mean, Augusta National is going to, they're not going to, if they want those guys in the tournament, they're going to be in the tournament. So the PGA can throw the fit all they want, but ultimately, Augusta's probably going to win that argument. So if they can play in three of the four majors and go make more money, then it's going to probably be a problem down the line for the PGA. But I don't know. I don't know what the end game is for
the Masters. If you win it, you're able to play there for the rest of your life until you just physically can't play or compete. Yeah. Dustin Johnson won the Masters. Sergio Garcia won the Masters. Louis Oosthuizen won the Open Championship, and of course we mentioned some of the others. Graham McDowell, I believe, won a U.S. Open Championship at Pebble Beach. So now the line's been drawn. PGA Tour Commissioner has already said, if you join that league, you are not to be a part of ours. And I wonder if this is going to get into of course, like everything else, this is not going to get into the courtroom. Greg Norman, who's taken a beating with this, and some guys have always said he's one of the most selfish players ever. I love Greg Norman. He was my favorite player till Tiger came along. So I had a pretty good run of favorite golfers. And I also had a chance to interview him. He was very incredibly cordial to me in 1987 at a tournament in Tyler. I like him, but he's always been, kind of the version before Mickelson's Mickelson. And he made a comment that these are independent contractors, but they sign contracts with the tour. So you can be an independent contractor, but when you sign a contract with the tour, then you're under contract of that tour. So I don't know how this is going to work out. But the Memorial's going on. That's Jack's tournament. It's always an incredible tournament in Columbus. I don't know how this is going to work out. Dustin Johnson won the U.S. Open, won the Masters, 24 tournament victories. Most of the players I saw are more European Tour Ryder Cup type names. But some of them have won majors as well. I don't know what's going to happen here. What are your thoughts, if you will, in the chat room of what and how you think this should be handled? Should they be able to play wherever they want, whenever they want, or should they be under the deal of the PGA Tour, who has told them, you join that league, you're off our league. You're off our tour?
I think it's well within the rights of the PGA, as far as I know, to say whatever they want to say. I mean, they can, if some guy just walks in here right now and says, I have a job. No, you don't. Yeah, I do. Why? Because I said, and then maybe I'm missing something here, but if Sikkim 365 doesn't hire you and so they don't want you, and hey, if you want to go take that other job and take it, then I don't think they're under any obligation for that other person to then still feel like they should be employed somehow, right? Yeah. So I don't really understand, I understand where the majors come into play, but again, those are not all PGA designated, so those guys can play in those tournaments. That's not the PGA. You can still play in the Masters because it's not the PGA's tournament. So that's where I'm not sure where the confusion is, because that's pretty clear. Outside of that, they're not going to play the random Sunday tournament, and they're not going to play the Byron Nelson, but they can play the championships for the most part, not the PGA, obviously. So, yeah, they'll play their little Saudi events, and they'll play in London and Toronto or wherever the hell they all end up playing. And then the other PGA guys will play the PGA tournaments. And then I don't know about the line in the sand and what sort of thing they can dictate as far as if Dustin Johnson wants to play in the Masters, if they can really stop that or not. I guess that's the big question. But I also know that even if he can't, he's taking $125 million reportedly to go play in this Saudi tour. So I think money is probably what trumps everything. And if he can't play in the Masters, but he can make $125 million, well, I think he's going to work out okay just either way.
All right, this is the PGA Tour's website. I want you guys to look at the front page. This is the website. At the top, there's all the different drop boxes. Tell me anything about the story that's on their website.
Oh, nothing. Again, they're trying to control that flow of information there. And they probably shouldn't give it the time of day because
the NFL going to put USFL stuff on their website? Yeah.
But they're a part of this story because they have, again, and it's been reported, but there was more information from the tour about this. So I thought I would see one story, looking for the quote from the Jay Monahan, the commissioner, but nothing. Absolutely nothing. It would be like theathletic.com publishing a story from SI.com. Or, you know what, and they might allude to it. They might credit somebody, but it's interesting. I mean, it's it's not even in existence. And yet we know that it is. Bart Bryant, big guy. He was 59 years old, died in a car wreck. He's the one that beat Tiger Woods by 6 shots in the 2005 Tour Championship. He was in a car accident in Tampa, Florida. Pickup truck that slammed into the back of his SUV. Stopped for construction. His wife taken to the hospital with minor injuries, and he is dead. Man, we've seen a lot of that lately too, haven't we? Car wrecks of athletes. But it happens all the time, everywhere, almost in every city. From Paul Bloss on Dustin Johnson. Johnson is following what Wayne Gretzky did when he left the NHL for the World Hockey League. He's married to his daughter. And look at the money, and son-in-law has done the same. He's right. Wayne Gretzky did the unthinkable, left the National Hockey League, a Canadian-born star, greatest player maybe of all time, Mario Lemieux and a couple of others. He left that league to go with an upstart league, got a bunch of money, and it was like, hey, he can't do that. Well, no, yeah, he did. And you're right, Dustin Johnson, great point, Paul, is doing exactly the same thing. All right, it's 5:21. We'll have John Machota on the Cowboys. The Big 12 is looked at as a possible host for an upcoming women's Final Four sometime during the end of this decade, 2027 to 2031 at the American Airlines Center in Dallas. Sikkim 365 Radio and 365 Sports.
GMC Cadillac, they got a lot of great deals going on right now. Service, as a matter of fact, I have to go over to Richard Carr next week, and we'll have my car there for a few days to finally get repaired, but I know when it comes out, it will be in great shape and be like it never even got into an accident months ago. But if you are in the market for a car, new cars and trucks are arriving weekly. You can call the dealership or go online to check their current inventory. And when you talk to the folks over at the dealership, you can get into a conversation about them about building your perfect vehicle. You can also get your name on their inbound vehicle list to reserve a brand new Buick, GMC, or Cadillac before anybody else does, or before anybody else. And that's if you're looking to buy new. Get on that inbound vehicle list, call the dealership, go by the dealership, chat with them. They can set you up either building the vehicle or at least getting your name on the list. But if you need a car today, consider one of their dozens of quality pre-owned cars and trucks. All of them have gone through a 172-point inspection. You can drive them with peace of mind, and they'll pay top dollar on your trade with dozens of lending options. They'll say yes to loans when others say no. So go online or come by, again, the dealership to check out their inventory today. With over 23 years serving Waco, Richard Carr has offered award-winning service from their collision and service center, and they are the dealer you can count on for a great deal and superior service for the life of your car. So trust the good local people you can count on for 23 years in Central Texas. Richard Carr, run by proud Wacoans, proud Baylor Bears. Log on to richardcarr.com today. Call now or go see them now off Highway 6 at the Imperial exit.
Baylor University is where lights shine bright. So let there be light. Let there be roommates and teammates, scholarship and championships. Let there be fresh starts and new traditions, fast friendships and lasting impacts. Let there be laughter. Let there be joy. Let there be light. Baylor University, where lights shine bright.
Brad Boozer, Boozer's Jeweler, joins us on Sikkim 365 Radio. I've seen people walk in there. First of all, you have so much to show. Whether necklaces, bracelets, rings. You have the watches. You have numerous great watches as well. You really have pretty much everything, don't you, when it comes to jewelry?
That's correct. Kind of a one-stop shop and all. And the fact that we have the 2 jewelers on staff, the repairs we can do, the fixing of your jewelry, and the remaking of any jewelry has really set us apart from anybody else.
You want to know why they're successful? Brad Boozer, the owner of Boozer's Jewelers on the corner of Valley Mills and Lake Air in Waco.
With so many companies and policies out there, it gets so confusing shopping for insurance, and I never know if I'm getting the policy that's right for me. Luckily, I met the team at the Niche Group Insurance Agency. With the Niche Group, you can go to one company and get access to coverage options from many insurance carriers, and you get to speak to a real person about your specific coverage needs. With the Niche Group, I know I'm getting the right coverage at the right price. If you need insurance, talk to the experts at the Niche Group at 1-800-258-8302.
Baylor Scott and White Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physicians for Baylor Athletics, diagnosing and treating all sports-related injuries, including concussions. These specialists also provide orthopedic services for athletes and non-athletes alike, whether it's knee or shoulder pain, hand or wrist injury, orthopedic spine care, and even an arthritis and total joint clinic. Trust the doctors Baylor Athletics trusts. Baylor Scott and White Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics wants to get you back in the game.
You want to know why Stonewood Dental is so successful? Listen to what happy customers have to say.
It's pleasant. It's different than any other dentist office. I really feel like they care. And it's not that you're here for 2 hours waiting on someone to take care of you. It's quick and easy, and I bring my kids, and my kids love being here too. They really love the treasure box. Staff is really nice and accommodating, real friendly. You feel more like home. It's not sterile looking. Everybody has their own personalized rooms with decorations and decor, and they'll even have a blanket for you when it's cold. I've recommended people to actually come here, and they are patients now. I really love it here. It feels like family.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
It takes time to reach goals. It's a truth that applies to more than sports. It goes for your financial goals as well. You work hard for your money, and you deserve an investment strategy that lines up with your game plan. And Tom Albers, your Edward Jones financial advisor, can help. If your financial investments aren't putting forth the effort you desire, stop by today for a financial review. Tom Albers, 4301 Lakeshore Drive, 254-776-7605. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio.
3rd and goal. Here's Chapin into the end zone, and how about that swagger? Another touchdown pass for Chapin. Ben Sims on the receiving end of this one.
The 5 o'clock hour is sponsored by Edward Jones Investments with financial advisor Ben Erlinson, who'll navigate you through today's financial climate. Edward Jones, making sense of investing.
Now here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
Had the Big 12 note about Jalen Wilson returning to Kansas. Also, we had Iowa State AD Jamie Pollard on yesterday, who was really, really impressive. His basketball coach, TJ Otzelberger, has been given an extension and a salary increase. He could have absolutely been a part of the discussion for Big 12 Coach of the Year, for where he took a team to where he was at the end of last year. It was an amazing turnaround. Won games in the NCAA tournament. He gets an extension and also a raise. And that was announced today by Iowa State University. So good for him.
Yeah, very deserving. I mean, had a great turnaround. I think there's a lot of excitement and optimism around that program compared to just a couple years ago. It turned out to be, so far, pretty great hire, and not surprised at all after the season that they had. Definitely exceeding expectations to see him get rewarded.
Yeah, I think TJ Otzelberger, any other conference he might, not any other conference, but several other conferences, he's probably the coach of the year because of that jump. But when you've got Kansas, who won the national championship in your league, Baylor coming off the national championship in your league, the bar's probably a little bit higher to clear for coach of the year now. And Texas Tech, who, was in the championship game a few years before.
Adam Self, Drew.
Yeah.
And him.
Yeah. And Chris Beard.
Yeah.
All in your league. So, that's tough. And
all right, we got a Jack Huffman who's comes in. He's been all over the last couple of minutes in the chat room. He's on. If y'all did a broadcast in a Waco bar, I would drive there and see you all, maybe even have a Guinness or two, and he'll buy.
I mean, I can set that up pretty darn quickly.
Right around the corner.
Right around the corner. And Jack Huffman, again, you guys really do speak in real college football stuff. Not always college football, but we appreciate that, Jack.
Yeah, I mean, 90% college football, and you got to also understand we're dealing with the offseason too, so we try to, thankfully we've been supplied, Jimbo, Saban, transfer portal, all that, with year-round, so it's kind of interesting to see how college football news has become year-round, and glad to be a part of it, and might not always agree with each other, but who cares? Like, the world doesn't function with just everybody agreeing all the time, so we're going to disagree on some topics, but we all just love college sports, especially college football, college basketball at the end of the day, and that's all that really matters. So, if you just want to talk college unvarnished and without the kind of typical just, square way of doing things, that we're going to do it a little bit differently, but do appreciate you, and thanks for listening.
Ross Dellinger, one of the notes from earlier today, SEC Media Days. Scott Strickland in Florida support a 9-game league schedule. The SEC should lean into competing more against one another.
Yes, absolutely. And the 9 thing just makes way more sense. Like, I don't even know why there's an argument at this point. And earlier, Brett McMurphy's telling us, well, because Vanderbilt might, and like, if that's what's stopping you is Kentucky feeling like they might lose one more game or Vanderbilt losing one more game, then that's not enough to convince me that it's a bad idea. It's actually telling me it's more of the good idea.
If I were Greg Sankey and taking votes on this, I'd be like, all those in favor of the 1-8 proposal, and remember, you guys are lucky to be here.
Yeah.
I
mean, just from a rivalry standpoint, it makes no sense to do the alternative. The 9 with 3, that makes perfect sense. Yeah. It's simple. It gets your rivalries in there, and like, if you have 4 rivals, then okay, sorry, one of them does not get to be in your group. You can't have everything, but you've got most of it versus the other model, which, like, even reading it earlier, how it would only be, at most like 3 years, if not maybe 4 years before you basically see everybody, versus now where it's like 9 years and A&M still hasn't played at Georgia. I mean, what is the big hold up here? I mean, it just seems clear as day that this is the big. I know, but it's like, so Vanderbilt loses one more game. They were already going to probably lose anyways. Okay, whatever. Like, I just think that it's pretty clear what the best model for the conference is as a whole.
Look, history, if you just want to look at the Big 12 and the way that they cut out their nose to spite their face because of a scheduling model that was too strict to, trying to make it more fair for everyone in the league. They got rid of they killed one of the best rivalries in the history of college football in Oklahoma and Nebraska because, they said, well, Oklahoma and Texas is going to be more important. Well, you could double up on that and have two. You have two of those games on TV every year. Well, are you really going to tell me that, okay, you're going to choose between bringing back A&M and Texas every single year and playing just Oklahoma and Texas? You're going to choose between, okay, Alabama's going to play Auburn every year. Great. But they're only going to play LSU every other year? Like, come on, man. No, you're not going to do that.
It's not that hard.
It doesn't there's just a lot of unnecessary back and forth on this topic. It's very clear what the best one is, and I understand that, that's an extra SEC game. That might be an extra loss. They knock somebody out of the playoff. Well, that's why there should also be an expanded playoff. So play your schedule, expand the playoff, and I think everybody would be happy with that. But, to me, it's a no-brainer of what they should do. But I know we got to go here. We need to mention, the big breaking story, though, out of the NFL, somewhat out of the NFL. Very sad news out of Frisco, Texas today, as former Cowboys and Minnesota running back, Golden Gophers running back, Marion Barber, found dead in his apartment by police in Frisco. Frisco is where the Cowboys facilities are, but he's not played for them for well over a decade now at this point. And apparently, based on things I'd seen over the last couple years and based on, I know people are now starting, this is when everybody starts looking at your life and looking at your tweets and looking at all that. And they've already pulled up, Des Bryant echoing his concern for Marion Barber a while back and just how bad his life, I guess, had become or in what rough shape it was. Saying that he didn't even enjoy, or I know what it was. Somebody had tweeted Marion Barber highlights, and Dez quote tweeted it and said that he basically can't even stand to watch him anymore because he knew how currently Marion Barber's life was going, and it was tough for him to watch. And that was a while ago, and now you hear the news today. No word on cause of death. But just a sad story. I know he was really struggling based on the time that I had read about him.
Yeah, he was very shy. Shireen Williams, on occasion, had to kind of convince him to do interviews because of her role in the Football Writers Association, Pro Football Writers Association. He was a battering ram. He and Felix Jones were a pretty good tandem. That 2007 team was the one that you thought with T.O. and company could play deep. And then, of course, another meltdown. The Giants won that game at what was then. Was that would have been, when did AT&T Stadium open?
2010 or 9.
So it was at Texas Stadium when they lost that game to the high-flying Giants who upset the Patriots, who were undefeated, I believe, that year.
Yeah, just 38 years old. Yeah, he was good for a brief minute in Dallas. I mean, it wasn't as long as people would have liked or he would have liked, obviously. But there was a time when, you had a bunch of Marion Barber fans in Dallas-Fort Worth, and they loved the guy. And he was definitely the more successful of the Felix Jones tandem.
Julius Jones.
Or Julius Jones. Yeah, you said Felix Jones.
No, I thought it was Felix.
It was Julius, and then it was Felix.
Okay.
But
yeah, the Jones guy. Yeah, whatever. Barber was the star, and then Julius Jones was a bigger star than Felix Jones. That's fair to say, but they were both very brief. But anyways, he had a good number of fans that I know enjoyed watching him run during that time period, and just sad, man. People, out of the spotlight and move on with their lives. He's just 38 years old, apparently. Like I said, no cause of death, but his life very publicly had not been going in a very good direction for a while, so that's just sad.
He had one year when he scored a ton of touchdowns. I forgot which year it was, 14 in 2006, and then 10 that year. They were so good in 2007. When we come back, John Machota and whatever he's learned about not so much what happened. We know that Marion Barber's dead, but the former running back is gone. John Machota on that, much more. Sikkim 365 Radio.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine, Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street in Waco. A hidden gem. And look, now they're available on DoorDash. So, if you can't get there, if you can't go and see their fantastic selections of locally sourced whiskeys like Balcones or TX or Devil's River, Garrison Brothers, or their great craft beer, you can just go on DoorDash and order it and have it brought right to your house. Of course, you can't just have them leave it on the doorstep. You got to show your ID for that. But they are now available on DoorDash. So if you are so inclined, say the party's going and nobody can be the DD, well, you can have it brought right to you by DoorDash. That's River and Liquor and Wine, Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street, right behind the bank.
The Memorial Day sales event is here at Allen Samuels in Waco. The new 2022 Impressive Wagoneer Series 2 and 3 have 2.9% for 72 months and $3,000 in bonus cash. That's right, and $3,000 bonus cash. This great incentive on the new 2022 Wagoneers for a limited time only at Allen Samuels in Waco. First responders get $500 extra cash. Come shop the huge new car and truck inventory today.
Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
Don Humidor, your home with a 48-foot walk-in humidor with the elite cigar brands from around the world, including the #1 cigar of the year, Aging Room Cuatro Nicaragua. Plus, they have the great brands like Macanudo and Artur Fuente, Rocky Patel, Aston, and so much more. CBD, great for sore muscles, aches and pains, sleep, Vita Dreams, and anxiety, mild depression, general health and wellness. Their staff very knowledgeable on the subject. If anyone is curious about CBD, ask Carol and Ashley. Don Humidor in the Townwest Shopping Center off Valley Mills in Waco.
The secret to living your best life is pizza, obviously. Golden crust made from scratch, 3 fresh signature cheeses, and the toppings, crispy old world pepperoni, savory Italian sausage, bacon. That's called a dream team. Find everything you need to live your best life and more at Marco's Pizza. Owner Bob Mock has been delivering pizza since 2001 and is the proud owner of 4 locations in Waco, Belmead, China Spring, Woodway, and soon to be open in Robinson. Marco's. Pizza lovers get it.
Did you know that 1 out of every 4 men have symptomatic low levels of testosterone and don't even know it? And if you think you're too young to worry about it, guess again. Low T levels can make you feel tired and grumpy, cause weight gain, and wreak havoc on your sexual desire and performance. Petty Clinic Low T can set up same-day blood screening and results, so if you're tired of being tired, I challenge you to man up and Google search Low T Waco or go online pettycliniclowt.com. It's a private clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Affordable, only $150 a month, includes lab work, office consultation, testosterone injections, follow-up visits compared to $395 a month in Dallas or Austin, and you don't have to fight the traffic. Petty Clinic Low T is board-certified physician consultations, will provide the best form of brand-strength testosterone available. Contact Petty Clinic Low T today, just off Highway 84 and Old Hewitt Drive in Woodway. Petty Clinic Low T, helping men become the high-performance men they deserve to be. PettyClinicLowT.com or Google search Low T Waco.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio. It's time for our weekly segment with John Machota of The Athletic, brought to you by Pioneer Steel and Pipe, where customer service is their main focus, and best in metal, steel, and pipe for large or small projects, with 2 locations in Waco and Bryant. Family owned and operated since 1943.
John Machota, athletic.com, covers the Cowboys in the NFL, joins us on Sikkim 365 Radio, 365 Sports. And we just saw the story, John. I mean, it's just out there recently about Marion Barber. Have you, it just happened, obviously, or recently announced. Did you have any reaction on that or anybody you know react to it yet?
Yeah, I mean, I've seen the report, but I haven't been able to confirm it. And you know how it is with things like that. You know, unless you have somebody that you know for sure, knows for sure, I'm not going to put anything out on that, but I did see the report of it, and yeah, if that's true, that's obviously very sad. He's a really young guy to have that happen. But actually, when I started covering the Cowboys in 11, it was the year after. So 11 was the year when Marion went to the Bears. So I never got a chance to for him, but obviously he was, a key part for some of those Cowboys teams in the years before that. But yeah, that's a sad story. I mean, I'm interested to see what the details are on something like that, because I honestly, I don't know, it blindsides you. You obviously don't expect those things.
Yeah, we read Des Bryant's tweet from a year ago, almost July 15th of last year, where he even said that it was hard for him to watch the highlight video because he knew how bad Marion Barber's life had become in the last few years.
Yeah, no, I had no idea about any of that. I was surprised. I didn't know that he was even living in Frisco area, and I saw that's where the Frisco police department or something was looking into something like that. So. Yeah, I had not heard anything about him off the field doing good or bad. So, yeah, this comes as a complete surprise to me.
So, John, reveal all the dirty details and what to expect from the Cowboys based on your OTA observations.
I wonder how good the offensive line is going to be. I think that's where I start with all of this. When, you watch the first practice and, it's pretty easy to project that if Tyron Smith, which again, I mean, he doesn't participate in the practice that we got to see, availability tomorrow. So I anticipate him being out there, but you already hear, back issues there. That's never a thing, but it looks like he'll be at left tackle with Tyler Smith at left guard. And, that's going to be asking a lot of a young kid that you're just going to kind of throw him out there next to Tyler Biadasz, who has had his struggles at center. So that left side of that offensive line makes it difficult for you to feel super confident there. Then the other thing you're replacing is Amari Cooper, and so you go to OTA practices thinking like, oh, let's see, Michael Gallup's not going to be out there as he continues to recover from the knee injury. Let's see what we're going to get from James Washington and Jalen Tolbert, and then both of them aren't practicing. So those are some key areas that you need to shore up, because if you don't, then you're having the same problems you had last year, and that's not a good thing. So. I know it's OTAs and it's early, but, not the greatest sign so far.
I hopped on, Cowboys Twitter earlier today to see, Simi Fehoko getting first-team reps. Like I said, that was he had earned his way up there. And, I mean, not to knock Simi Fehoko, but, I mean, who else was going to if he's not there?
Well, yeah, exactly. And it ended up being, CD was out there with Simi and Noah Brown. And I can see Simi and Noah Brown, rounding out the receiving core as being their fifth and sixth receivers that make the roster. But, they envision their receiving core to be CeeDee Lamb, Michael Gallup, James Washington, Jalen Tolbert. Like, those are going to be the four guys, like last year, how it was CeeDee Lamb, Michael Gallup, Cedric Wilson, and Amari Cooper. So those are their key four guys. And now I don't think that anything is real serious with Washington or Tolbert to where, you don't think they're going to be in training camp or something like that. But if that was the case, I'm sorry, but I just feel like you have to go and get somebody in free agency. And I mean, I don't know, that might be Julio Jones. It might be, somebody that, that you really didn't want to, but you got to do something, because you're going to have 3-4 solid receivers for Dak to be able to move the ball with. So there's a couple guys still out there. So that'll be interesting to monitor, that whole wide receiver position, because they need a lot from Jalen Tolbert immediately. And so you just hate to see him first time we get to see OTA practice, and he's working on the resistance cords.
It's amazing because they had a bunch of receivers, and they had to make decisions, and one of them was Amari Cooper. Another one was on Cedric Wilson, who was a very kind of a Swiss Army knife at times. He's got free agent money. It just seemed like they had almost more than they could use, but in the end, they had to use all of them. In the end, was Amari Cooper the money, or Amari Cooper because he just was a little bit of a different cat in what the Cowboys wanted?
Yeah, I think it's all of the above. Obviously, if he wasn't being paid like one of the highest paid wide receivers, he'd probably still be here. But then you couple that with, him missing games last year, and the offense just didn't really get to another level. And the way they viewed it is, okay, are we going to keep Amari Cooper? And then we're probably not going to be able to re-sign Dalton Schultz, and probably won't be able to re-sign Michael Gallup. Now, of course, you could work one of those guys probably in and put yourself in a tough spot salary cap wise, but that's the way they viewed it. Is it was either going to be Schultz and Gallup or Amari. And at the end of the day, they felt like it was better to go with Schultz and Gallup. So it remains to be seen if that's the best way to go about it. Dalton Schultz, they still have another month and a half to try and work out a long-term deal with him. If not, he'll play under that franchise tag. So I will say this. I was not a fan of them getting rid of Amari Cooper, but I wouldn't have been a fan of them getting rid of Schultz either. And the reason I say that is because I think Schultz is a solid, to good player. But it's also because of what they have at tight end. Like they're just, you talk about what they have at 2, 3, and 4 at wide receiver. What do they have at 2, 3, and 4 at tight end? And you're going to need at least 2 or 3 good tight ends. And behind Schultz, you just don't have a lot. They were hoping to have Blake Jarwin, and now that you have to go in another direction there, they're hoping Jake Ferguson can be another Dalton Schultz, but Dalton Schultz didn't become the Dalton Schultz he is right now until after 2 years in the league, and that might happen with Ferguson too. And so then you have Sean McEwen and Jeremy Sprinkle. So if you don't have Schultz at tight end, you're real thin at tight end. So I understand why they went with the way their plan that involved keeping him on the roster.
John, how much did the David Njoku contract raise your eyebrows in terms of how it relates potentially to Dalton Schultz?
Yeah, no, that's a good point. I don't know. It's tough for me to say right now because I think that with Schultz, I think of him as a more well-rounded tight end. And I know when I say that, people are going to say, oh, they didn't look like a great blocking tight end last year. I think he's a better blocking tight end than he showed last year. So if he gets back to being that becomes one of his strengths and he's a better blocker, I would rather have a Dalton Schultz. I just think he's not going to probably give you quite as much as Njoku in the passing game. But he's a good safety net. Dak really trusts him. And, I think he can be a really solid blocker. And really to be good at both, you bring up Njoku, you look across the league, how many tight ends are really out there that are really good at both, or really good pass catchers and really good blockers? There's not a ton. Every team doesn't have 2 that they can roll out there like that. I mean, you're pretty fortunate if you have one really solid one. And so, I think Schultz really likes being here. I think he would give the Cowboys somewhat of a team-friendly deal. I don't think he'll be some bargain, but I think he would prefer to stay here. I think he likes being here. I think he likes playing, with Dak and with this offense. So, there's potential to get something done for sure if both sides can kind of come to agreement on a number. But yeah, it seems like anytime you get these tight ends, it takes a little bit for these young tight ends to get kind of going, whether you're talking about even the high round picks, even the TJ Hawkinsons and guys like that. Generally speaking, these tight ends nowadays don't just hit the ground running in the NFL. It's a tough transition. So to have a guy like Schultz in the prime of his career, I mean, I'm trying to do as much as I can to keep him.
John, which player do you think will be this year's Terrence Steele, who pressed into duty in his early part of his career, didn't play as well or did the best he could, and then improved to the point where he's a valued player?
Well, I know they would hope that it's Tyler Biadasz. If Tyler Biadasz doesn't take his game to another level, then next year's offseason, they have to really be looking for another center. I mean, this has to be the year for him. So for them, I think that's who they would be hoping the most. For me, I would look at the defensive line, and I would look at last year's draft picks. And I don't know if you could say that about Osa Odigizua, just because of the fact that he flashed quite a bit as a rookie. So maybe it's Chauncey Golston. I think that could be a guy that sees a bigger role. And I mention him because he's a guy that I can see playing some edge on first and second downs, and then moving into defensive tackle on third downs and in other passing situations. And we got to see some of that in the OTAs. So he can be used in a variety of ways that maybe he's a guy that takes his game to a next level and maybe takes a little bit of pressure off of a Sam Williams as a rookie to have to come in and do a lot right away. And if that happens, then all of a sudden you might be a little bit better at defensive tackle and at defensive end than maybe you thought you were, a year ago. And then another guy I'd mentioned too would be Jabril Cox. I mean, if he can get healthy and his knee is right, just from what we saw, the flashes of his athleticism to where you're just like, well, it's going to be hard to keep him off the field. That would be great for them too, because then all of a sudden you feel really good about 3 linebackers and you can rush Micah even more, which is, I certainly think that that's what they want to do.
John, thank you, sir. Appreciate your time.
Anytime, guys. Thanks for having me
John Machota, theathletic.com, and the Cowboys. A note or two about a couple of things. We've told you in the last couple of weeks, really just less than 2 weeks, but that our app was being rebuilt. We got very little notice on that. Next thing you know, the app wasn't available. And I don't know enough about technology that usually when you see a house being renovated, there's still the house. It's still open. And you kind of renovate, you put sheets up or whatever, cover. So that's being worked on as fast as I can. Take their time, because the story behind that, when we launched this in April of 2020, our app was like in the teeth of COVID, as was the show, and it took a long time. And then there was a mistake made. The mistake was that when you went and took a phone call or whatever, we would get knocked off. And it got to a point where they tried to fix that. But it's being built again. So it's going to be bigger, better, faster, stronger, because it was originally built just for this radio show. There's going to be a lot more options to it. Number 2, on Monday and Tuesday, for sure, of next week, there will be a lot of reconstruction, remodeling, or just changes in this studio. And so we will not be here on Monday and Tuesday of next week. Want to try it? Sometimes we don't go, I don't think we do. I've not done it enough job of giving you a heads up on something. So next Monday and Tuesday, there will be something that we have that you can go pick and choose from, a buffet or whatever, as we always have. But next Monday and Tuesday, and the possibility it could be Wednesday, of us not being in the studio with the show. No show. Thursday of next week, we should be broadcasting from McLean Stadium regardless for what is called the Cows event, where Baylor's hosting a lot of administrators in athletics, ADs, etc., at McLean Stadium for a long all-day seminar. We'll be right outside the building or right outside the room and getting some ADs who come out to talk with us.
Yeah, it's not ideal, but when else are we going to do it? I mean, as far as the studio and the app and all that, I mean, we can do it in November when, everybody's wanting to talk college football. So, yeah, it's going to be a brief interruption, but we got to take days off, too, at some point. And we can't do it, anytime past basically mid-July. So, we're going to, be off for a couple of days, but it'll only be to improve things. It's not just, taking days off. It's all for improvement. So, yeah, just be patient, and at some point, hopefully that app is done, and at some point the studio will be, fully finished, and we won't have to worry about any other projects, hopefully for a while.
One more note. Jim Skinner sent me a long email, a note about he watches the show. He's from Coral Gables, Florida. Jim, thank you. He said he's a big fan of the program. Sent me an overview about the money, the Big 12 money, about the TV deal, about comparisons of the various conferences and where the Big 12 is. According to the Athletics' Nicole Auerbach, projected 2029 revenue numbers could be this: $1.8 billion for the SEC, $1.4 billion for the Big Ten, $861 million for the ACC, $753 million for the Pac-12, and $690 million for the Big 12, which, of course, that would be about nearly $60 million per program in the Big 12. The board of directors knows this. His thought, and we've had this when we talked about next level, because we've heard certain schools, Memphis, Boise State, if there isn't going to be a second phase. We don't even know that. Really don't. But I loved his idea. The 4 most watched college programs based on data and what their academic standards combine are Navy, Army, Air Force, and Boise State, based on television numbers. I know that's not going to happen. Boise State's been a part of that conversation, we know. And I think all of us, I would love that. I do. I know that Navy, Army almost beat Oklahoma 2 or 3 years ago. They're pretty good, I know. But thank you, Jim, for any time you contact us, we want to make sure we can read it and give you the time from Coral Gables, Florida. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, that's interesting info. The thing is, it all comes back to is if you can add value, great. If you can come into the conference, no matter who you are, if you're Air Force or if you are Arizona or whoever the hell you are, if you can come to the conference and every Big 12 team with your addition is going to make a couple $1 million more, or at least they're going to be making more, then, hey, let's explore it. But if you're going to come into the conference and everybody's suddenly making $4 million less than they were because of your addition, then it's off the table. So, yeah, if you bring value, welcome aboard. Come on, but who does that?
Dripping Springs quarterback Austin Novosad, who's committed to Baylor. Max Olson reporting he got an offer today from Ohio State. And, in fact, Juan, a Houston fan, said, did you guys see this? Yes, we did. Craig pointed that out to me earlier, just a few minutes ago. Back with Paul's Top 5 in a moment.
Parenting is full of surprises.
You never know what to expect.
So after our son was born, I called my Texas Farm Bureau insurance agent to set up a life insurance policy in case something happened to me.
Sawyer is now 2.
And we'll soon have a sister. There's no one else I would trust with protecting my family.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
It's plain and simple. Waco Custom Marketplace is the one-stop shop for what you need for tailgating, from charcoal, cold beer, and wine. And, of course, customize your order with brisket, tri-tip, sausage, wings, smoked pork tenderloin, country-style or pork spare ribs, marinated beef and chicken fajita meat, ground beef and chili, meat, hot dogs, and burgers, buns, seasoning, sauces, chips. There's fresh baked bread and kolaches every day, breakfast sausage links. And you can also customize your favorite cut of steaks from Select, Choice, or Prime, bacon wrap fillets, ribeyes, New York strips, sirloin, T-bone, and porterhouse. Full service butcher shop includes pork, poultry, beef, chicken, and seafood, serving Waco restaurants and families since 1940. Your one-stop shop for beef, pork, poultry, and seafood needs. Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lake Air Drive, or WacoCustomMarketplace.com.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible challenge. Hi, this is Dan Ingham with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like First Free Checking, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. The First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Ben Erlinson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why he takes the time to understand your needs, knowing you. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Ben Erlinson, 100 North 6th Street in Waco, 254-759-8533. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Shorty's Pizza Shack at 12th and Bagby is a homegrown, family-owned and operated must-visit pizza place in Waco. Fantastic pizza by the slice or get the whole pie to share. Great happy hour specials every single day, and it's not just pizza. Great wings. You have to try the Sikkim sauce, chili cheese fries, pizza pillows, and more. Dine in for a great hangout or carry-out. Order online at shortyspizzashack.com or do yourself a favor and bring your crew to the restaurant at 12th and Bagby. Shorty's Pizza Shack. Tell them Paul sent you by.
Stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. See all the things they can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
This is Paul Catalina's Top 5 at 555.
I asked John Machota the question about who is going to be this year's Terrence Steele because it was the top 5. I was curious to hear what he said, and he hit a couple of mine. In his response. Number 5, the top 5 Cowboys who need to be this year's Terrence Steele, a player who last year played a little bit, maybe injured, maybe, and they need to be pressed into duty and be better this year and contribute to the team. Number 5, Jabril Cox, linebacker. He looked good in the preseason, then he got hurt really early on the season. Was never going to play that much based on their linebacker depth, but now with Leighton Vander Esch playing on a 1-year deal, Ken O'Neill out the door, they really need Jabril Cox to play well. They really need him to step up and be a contributor on that defense. Don't know if he will.
Is that him?
Yeah.
What numbers he wear?
14.
Huh.
Yeah. No, he doesn't look like a linebacker. He's not. He doesn't. A couple times I saw him.
Because he didn't really play much, and so I didn't even realize it was his number.
Yeah, one time he was out of the field, and I saw 14. I thought, is he a running back?
Yeah.
But yeah, he's
a quarterback number or a wide receiver number at least. Okay.
Yeah. He'd be an important one to step up, the second-year linebacker out of LSU by way of North Dakota State. Number 4, Kelvin Joseph. Now, this one is a real crapshoot because if his legal problems come back up, then that's, going to change things for the Cowboys. But he was a second-round pick in 2021. So they need him to be a contributing starter this year. That may be a lot to ask.
Yeah. Still interesting to know who knew about the shooting and he was a part of that car first, the police or the Cowboys?
Yeah. Who knows?
Because I remember McCarthy saying something one time where it was like, man, it sounded like they knew about it 2 or 3 days before the police did, which is a little strange.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Good talent. See if he plays.
Well, I mean, it's probably because his agent probably told the Cowboys, and then he didn't want to speak to cops right away.
Yeah.
That's why they found out before the police did.
Yeah. The question is, should the Cowboys have called the police?
Well, and who's to say that they didn't arrange it? Number 3, Tyler Biadasz, who was mentioned by John Machota. If this doesn't work out, they've got to go center, and they got to go center high in the draft, which is not something. I mean, they did it with Travis Frederick, and that worked out great for them. And if not for his health issues, might still be working out great for them. But since Travis Frederick is no more, Tyler Biadasz is the center, and they need something out of him this year. He's got to play better.
Got pushed around a lot last year.
And I think he was benefited by the fact that left guard was such a black hole for the Cowboys between Connor Williams and his million penalties and Connor McGovern and just being kind of meh. So it's got to be Tyler Biadasz, or they've got a problem.
Yep, they do.
Yeah.
I remember his rookie year, people thought he had a good upside. He's just a body.
Yeah, right now he's been just a guy. And that's what a lot of people thought about Terrence Steele as an undrafted rookie. And that guy, really, I mean, not many people are going to dedicate themselves in the offseason to what Terrence Steele did. I mean, even players you expect that from. So, but Tyler Biadasz needs to. Number 2, Osa Odigizua, who actually played really well in spots last year for the Cowboys. But if they can get production out of the defensive tackle spot, which they have not for quite a long time, probably since David Irving, had that one really, really amazing year, and then dedicated his life to ganja.
If you really think about all the problem children they've had, dude,
it's ridiculous.
You can
go on for hours.
Like, it's ridiculous. Every guy's got a caveat with something they've been involved with or whatever. Yeah, I'm sorry to interrupt there, but it's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah. David Irving was going to make $15 million a year on the free agent market and kind of jumped the gun on the NFL's marijuana policy. But part of it was...
And then double down.
Then double down. And look, if you got your beliefs, you got your beliefs, buddy. But also, if you just wait a little bit...
Because started your own dispensary.
Yeah, exactly.
With the money you would have earned.
Yeah.
But you just had to smoke.
Yeah. But Osa Odigizua really played well last year. And then, look, there's guys like Chauncey Golston, also on the defensive line, they'd like to see step up because, the other defensive end spot is going to be, in question. We'll talk about that in a second. But Osa Odigizua, if he can step up, and Neville Gallimore maybe too. But I think this one, if he can be kind of a stud on that defense, it's going to change what Dan Quinn is able to bring.
I agree.
A lot of ifs there.
Yeah.
That's the only thing.
Yeah.
Yep.
And number 1, Dorrance Armstrong, re-signed to a 2-year contract.
Kansas
had some big moments last year. I played the highlight in the open of the block punt he recovered. He really played well and played his way to that contract. And he's the guy they signed because they lost Randy Gregory. He's probably playing for another team on a similar kind of deal if Randy Gregory signs with the Cowboys. So he's back. Dante Fowler's in that mix. Obviously Chauncey Golston, Terrell Basham, there's guys there, but Dorrance Armstrong's going to need to play a lot more than he did last year.
Really liked him when he was a college kid,
yes,
a college player. He was on a bad team. He was a really, really good player. Not because everybody else was bad. He was a really good player.
They don't need Dorrance Armstrong to be fantastic. I mean, they're like an all-pro, but they need him to be pretty darn good.
Yeah. Well, they're supposed to have an all-pro on the other side.
Yeah.
In DeMarcus Lawrence, right? All right, thanks to Emery Winter, Levi Caraway, Jack McKenzie, Garrett Ross ran the mothership again. I think he's getting kind of settled into this. I will be out until, I won't see you until sometime mid next week. I'm headed to Florida to see my 3 brothers. For Craig Smoak and Paul Catalina, for our sponsors, who are amazing. Good night, Sikkim 365 Radio, 365 Sports.